Le 17 avril 1958 a marqué le jour d'ouverture de la plus grande manifestation de notre temps. Le drapeau vert et blanc est l'insigne de l'exposition universelle. Là, quelques 50 nations et 7 organisations internationales se sont réunies pour célébrer les réalisations du plus riche demi-siècle de découvertes depuis les débuts du monde. Les premiers des millions de visiteurs pénètrent dans les 200 hectares du parc du Heysel à Bruxelles, transformé pour l'exposition en un déploiement architectural bien des années en avance sur notre temps. Le thème est « Coopération mondiale ». De la place internationale s'élèvent les édifices du Conseil de l'Europe et des Nations Unies. Au cœur d'une harmonie de parcs et d'esplanades fleuries, de fontaines et d'arc-en-ciel de lumière, le visiteur aperçoit d'abord le monumental atomium, symbole de notre temps, et de l'usage pacifique de l'énergie nucléaire. 108 mètres de haut et pesant 2300 tonnes, l'atomium représente un cristal élémentaire de métal agrandi 165 milliards de fois. 9 atomes dans ce gigantesque cristal, assez grands chacun pour y montrer les possibilités miraculeuses de la force atomique. Il y a des hublots dans chaque sphère. 30 étages du haut en bas. Il y a même une carte explicative. Mais peut-être préférez-vous visiter l'exposition en télésiège. D'accord, il y a un monde de choses à voir. Et ces confortables cabines suspendues vous promènent devant plus de 200 palais et pavillons qui, chacun, illustrent un aspect différent du progrès humain. Montons à bord. Le Pacific Park du Heysel est devenu une véritable ville de demain. Audacieuses en effet sont les conceptions architecturales, chaque pays cherchant à exprimer les lignes d'une architecture d'avant-garde. Pour la France, c'est une structure d'acier, d'aluminium et de verre en forme d'ombrelle. Les murs et le toit sont supportés par un immense contrepoids permettant la suppression de piliers et colonnes intérieures. Les visiteurs du monde entier s'émerveillent de ces constructions spectaculaires. Dans un décor de stupéfiante beauté, le pavillon de la République fédérale allemande souligne avec dynamisme l'usage audacieux des lignes horizontales. Chaque pavillon cherche à montrer la conception nationale du bonheur humain. Chaque pays veut montrer au monde les moyens qu'il considère les plus adéquats pour assurer à tous ses citoyens une vie heureuse et productive. Se rencontrant à Bruxelles dans une atmosphère d'échange pacifique, en somme les nations et les peuples du monde ont là une opportunité unique de se connaître et de se comprendre mieux les uns les autres. Arrêtons notre regard en passant sur le pavillon norvégien, ou le pavillon finlandais, ou sur la remarquable construction du pavillon de la Grande-Bretagne et l'audace de nouvelles lignes, de nouveaux matériaux, de nouvelles idées. À Bruxelles, le monde a l'occasion de s'arrêter, de prendre conscience de lui-même, d'apprécier plus complètement les miracles accomplis et les miracles à venir. Telle est la mission de l'exposition universelle et internationale de Bruxelles. Hôte, la Belgique reçoit princièrement dans le hall d'accueil. Les visiteurs se rassemblent dans un esprit de cordialité et de réel plaisir. Le Congo belge évoque le continent de l'avenir et ses amusantes terrasses de café, la cité de demain. Bien sûr, d'avoir tant marché donne soif, et la marche est le moyen de locomotion favori pour la plupart des visiteurs. Dans la section belge de l'exposition, les industries belges exposent sur le thème « Techniques nouvelles au service de l'homme ». Le pavillon du génie civil semble planer dans l'air comme un oiseau et défier les lois de la pesanteur. Il y a un pavillon pour les industries chimiques, pour les industries du papier, un pavillon pour un produit connu dans plus de 100 pays à travers le monde et en Belgique, un produit belge. La pause qui rafraîchit avec le pur et délicieux Coca-Cola partout en évidence dans cette cité de demain. Comme tout le monde l'apprécie. Oui, vraiment, pour tous les pays du monde, Coca-Cola est le signe de bon goût. D'innombrables visiteurs de l'exposition de Bruxelles ont rendez-vous au pavillon Coca-Cola. Spacieux, largement ouvert à la lumière, combinant harmonieusement l'acier et le verre, l'édifice est l'œuvre des architectes de Mutter et Koning. Le verre en est l'élément principal à l'intérieur et à l'extérieur, et un filet de câbles accroche les passerelles au plafond. Le pavillon Coca-Cola établit un type idéal de station d'embouteillage et fait découvrir aux visiteurs tout le processus de production. Depuis le départ de l'opération d'embouteillage, lorsque les bouteilles entrent dans la laveuse, chaque visiteur peut voir une parade ininterrompue de bouteilles d'une étincelante propreté destinées à cette délicieuse boisson. Il y a un contrôle de qualité à chaque étape de l'embouteillage. Vraiment, c'est un spectacle passionnant, spécialement pour les jeunes. Certains sont vraiment impressionnés. En rond défilent les bouteilles. En rond, toujours en rond. Jeunes et vieux admirent la précision mathématique et la parfaite synchronisation tout au long de la chaîne Coca-Cola, le même Coca-Cola embouteillé suivant les mêmes strictes normes partout dans le monde. D'immenses photographies murales illustrent dans le pavillon des applications typiques de la pose qui rafraîchit. Elles sont parmi les plus grandes photos du monde. Montant la rampe vers la galerie supérieure, les visiteurs voient la chaîne sous un autre angle. Mais toujours, le spectacle est passionnant. Bon, dans n'importe quelle langue. Une photo en couleur de la Grande Place de Bruxelles décore la galerie supérieure du pavillon. Ici, les visiteurs peuvent apprécier la boisson qu'ils ont pu voir embouteillée sous leurs yeux. Coca-Cola, délicieux et rafraîchissant. Coca-Cola, le même que dans votre pays. En Belgique, l'industrie Coca-Cola est une industrie belge, propriété de Belges et dirigée par des Belges, employant pour la production et la distribution de son produit les matériaux et les services d'autres industries belges. Ce produit, si typiquement belge en Belgique, est partout où il est embouteillé dans le monde, un produit local d'entreprise nationale. Dans la section belge de l'exposition, tous les aspects de la vie commerciale et du développement économique des provinces sollicitent l'intérêt des visiteurs. Il y a tant de choses à voir, tant à voir de cette vie de demain à chaque tournant. Quelle exposition! Le trafic est terrible par moments, et dans toutes les directions s'anime une constellation de couleurs. Voulez-vous être plus à l'aise pendant un instant et monter à bord d'un de ces 1000 pattes sur roues? Très bien, installez-vous, tout le monde ici est content. Mais peut-être préférez-vous le mouvement plus lent d'un de ces modernes pousse-pousse. Avec toute cette excitation et cette foule, les terrasses de café font de bonnes affaires. Il est naturel, dans cette ville de demain, dans cette atmosphère de progrès et d'espoir dans l'avenir, qu'une place importante soit consacrée au repos et aux distractions. Se rafraîchir est un besoin naturel, universel. Dans tous les rêves d'un avenir meilleur, il y a une place pour la captivante beauté des fontaines. Derrière celle-ci, le fascinant palais des États arabes. Le pavillon de la Thaïlande nous apporte l'enchantement de l'Orient. Les grandes traditions du passé servent de tremplin pour un avenir plus clair. Dans cette atmosphère d'échange pacifique, l'impression dominante est le style international et universel de l'architecture. Chaque pavillon tire son origine du droit d'exprimer librement ses conceptions de forme et de pensée, simplicité de la ligne résultant de l'influence directe des matériaux sur la structure. La conception circulaire du pavillon des États-Unis, par exemple, tire son inspiration des jeux d'ombre et de lumière d'une roue de bicyclette, l'oscillation enchanteresse d'une roue de bicyclette qui tourne. Dans le cadre de reposante et immense beauté du parc du Heysel, chaque pavillon, par des chemins différents, a permis d'atteindre les marches de l'avenir. Chaque jour à l'exposition est un jour passionnant. Que vous vous promeniez ou que vous preniez le train 1000 pattes ou que vous rouliez par les avenues ombragées dans un pousse-pousse moderne. Et quand le soir descend sur le parc du Heysel, d'autres surprises encore vous attendent. l'exposition est une évocation permanente.
Hi everybody, I'm Skip Elsheimer of AV Geeks. I collect old 16mm educational films and delight in showing them to folks like you. In previous days, I used to actually bring a projector and show the films. We have modified that and have come up with this daily lunch streaming event to give your eyes something else to look at besides the news while you eat lunch. So this last film, it's a visit to the Brussels World's Fair 1958, brought to us by Coca-Cola. And I showed it because it has beautiful assembly line footage in it. Coca-Cola, their pavilion, they actually recreated a bottling plant. It's glorious, beautiful, beautiful footage. And you know, World's Fairs are pretty cool anyways. But the added bonus here was that people on YouTube got a chance to watch the closed captioning where Google or YouTube on the fly translated the French or Belgian French into English. And it is hilarious. It is so funny. I think William, who's on YouTube, he transcribed some of these things. There was, oh my gosh, there's so many things. I would say go and just watch it if you can at a later. The thing is that these closed caption things will show up. There was something about a donut or jojoba sounds good. There was something about bullet ants to track the issue of Santa experiment. So much great stuff. Just, you know, the best technology that we have, like on the fly, totally mutilating what we're reading, and it's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. So I recommend that if you have a chance. I might actually put a link to it with instructions on Facebook on how to view it. It's so good. Anyhow, thanks everybody for tuning in. We're into week 5 of me broadcasting this daily event. And I love doing it. I love the comments I've been getting. I love the fact that you guys are sharing it with other people. So thank you so much for that. And I love showing the films. I mean, really, that's the point. The reason I collect films is to show them. And I certainly have my niche things that I watch and enjoy, but there's so many things that I have in my collection of 27,000 films that I love to bust out. And thankfully, I've digitized over 3,000 of them, so we have stuff to be drawing from. And some people have made suggestions about, like, do you have this film or that film? Sometimes I have it and I have it handy. Sometimes it might take a week or so to track it down. I'm not really digitizing at the archive. I'm kind of stuck at home. I'm letting my assistant do the digitizing and work by himself so that we're not, interacting with each other in a negative way. So anyways, I know somebody wanted a film about vandalism, and somebody else wanted films with puppets. So here's a vandalism film. Enjoy.
Once upon a time there was a very nice little town, just like the one you live in, with pretty things all around. Beautiful parks and playgrounds, places to run and play. How would you feel if someone took that beauty away?
Time to get up. Don't be late.
And like every town, there are all kinds of children. And most of them take care of their things. Do you?
Time to get up.
Sometimes we do things without thinking a tad. Is what I'm doing helping, or is it good or bad? Most kids are good kids, choosing right, not wrong. They can tell the difference between right and wrong.
Hey, stop that. You know you shouldn't be doing that. Stop that. It's not nice to mess up the walls.
Uh-oh. Can't walk on the grass. Okay, you're right. Hey, you dropped something. Oh, thank you. I'm glad I saw it. Thanks again. Bye. So long.
And here's your grandmother's locket.
For me?
Yes, and I want you to have it.
Okay.
But you have to be careful not to lose it.
Okay.
Well, don't forget, it's very old and it can't be replaced.
Oh, I'll never lose it.
Now get along. Bye.
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 But there's a few like Sneaky. They don't like to do their share or play fair.
Sneaky doesn't care. He won't even follow the rules. Sneaky doesn't care. He thinks me first. He'll choose the worst. He'll mess and spray, break and steal. He never ever thinks of how you or I may feel. Sneaky doesn't care. He won't even follow the rules.
Oh, if Sneaky only thought of others first, maybe he wouldn't have written on the walls or knocked over the trash or ruined the desk. I wonder, why does Sneaky only think of himself and not about others?
Oh, I hope you can't come over. I'd like to. Oh, that'd be nice. Hey, that's my locket. Give it back to her. That's my locket. Give it back. Oh, please don't take it. I feel so bad. Why did he take it? I don't understand him.
Oh, why do some children do what others tell them to do, even when they know it's wrong? Are they weak or not very strong? Just going along. They're just as bad as Sneaky.
Knock it over. Wow, yeah. Oh, boy.
Do they do it 'cause they're angry or just feeling mad? Or are they like a little baby who gets attention by getting other people in trouble and making them act bad?
Some kids are copycats and only imitate. They go right along knowing that they're making a mistake. Why be like a copycat doing what you see others do? Do what you feel is right, it'll be alright for you. Now think about those children spraying, breaking steel.
Oh, that's good. Oh, more.
How would you take it if they busted your wheels? Now tell the truth, Sneaky. How do you feel?
Why did they do that to me? It's not fair. It's not fair. Why did they do that to me?
What can we do about those few, the ones that aren't being fair? Soon all the places will be ugly spaces. No more beauty anywhere. It's not too late to care. It's not too late to care.
You see, others pay to give you a school. It's not all just free. It costs money to repair and repaint. It costs your parents. It even costs you and me. Think of all the wasted money because of a few. It isn't fair. What can we really do? Pretty soon your parents might not care and maybe no longer want to pay to fix things up or make a repair. Did you know that to repaint one building wall costs about the same as 1,000 cartons of milk? To replace one school desk costs about the same as what your mom and dad would have to pay for 10 pairs of tennis shoes. And to fix one broken window glass costs about the same as 300 new crayons. And to replace one broken bike would cost about the same as 34 kickballs. Have you ever tried to write on a desk that someone else has ruined? How would you feel if you had to use the phone to call for help and someone had broken it? Have you ever wanted to play in a park and someone had messed it all up? Once there was a very nice town until Sneaky went running around.
So let's all work together, let's all cooperate, and start building, stop destroying. Soon it may be too late. Be good to one another, yeah, and life will be so great. It's your town, what do you think we should do? It's your turn, now it's up to you.
That film has it all. I mean, it's got marionettes. It's got educational folk music. It has a wonderful villain, Sneaky, who wears glasses. And Bill Baker marionettes. We've had another film featuring Bill Baker puppets. I think Food Doesn't Fly actually had puppets and not marionettes. But this was so much better than that one. Really, really great. I love films with villains, especially when they are kid villains. So, what else have we got coming up here? Oh yeah, so back when we weren't working at home, we were concerned about coming to work every day and keeping our jobs. So this is a film about how to keep your job. Enjoy.
This looks all right. Tell me, why are you interested in this job?
I need a steady job, Mr. Wiley, with a chance to go places.
I see. Now, this one job you had with the Central Distributing Company, you worked there for 18 months?
Yes, sir.
Why did you leave?
Because I wasn't getting anywhere. After 18 months, I figured I was worth more than they were paying me. And I figured I was ready for promotion to more important work.
I see.
Honest, Mr. Wiley, it was a rotten company. I don't know why I stayed as long as I did.
Tell me, were you fired?
Yes, I was. But it wasn't my fault. The company just up and started firing people. Retrenching, they called it. What do you think of that?
I think it's a pretty normal situation. A business has to live within its income. Many factors affect that income. Sales, general economic conditions, the development of new industries that replace old ones. For these and many other reasons, businesses often go through periods of adjustment and reorganization when they're forced to let people go.
I didn't do anything. Why me?
You said that in 18 months you hadn't gotten anywhere.
That's right. Other fellows who started later were promoted right over my head.
How much warning do you need? Couldn't you see the company valued the other fellow's services above yours?
But I thought I was doing fine. What did I do?
Do you expect me to answer that?
No, sir. I guess you wouldn't know.
Actually, I probably do know better than you do. I have no business taking time for this, but well, I can't help thinking you might really amount to something if you'd set your mind to it. Try to see yourself as your employer saw you. Better still, let me give you a picture of a case I really do know. It's about a young man who came to work in our shipping room here, and another young man. Now, we begin work here at 8:30. That's the time to begin this business of keeping a job. And that's the time Bob Addison began work every day. We could depend on him to be on time and to do his work on time. You might call him an eager beaver, but look at it from the employer's point of view. Wouldn't you like to have Bob working for you? Dependability is one of the main keys to keeping a job and getting ahead. Now, dependability includes a willingness to work. Some of the work in our shipping room is hard work. That's why we've always had two fellows working there. Well, two fellows who were supposed to be working. The other fellow I want to tell you about is Walter, Bob's brother, Bob's twin brother. But the resemblance is only skin deep. Look at Walter from the employer's point of view, and you see how not to keep a job. Look at him from Bob's point of view, and you see how not to get along with your fellow workers. On the other hand, Bob would be popular wherever he worked. You know, he would do his share of the work and help others who needed help. Cooperation is another way to keep a job. Walter finally decides to go to work, but a job he was supposed to do first thing. Actually, he was supposed to run them off the evening before, but he put it off. This is how not to be dependable, how not to cooperate with the company and with your fellow workers in your own and other departments. Poor Walter. Who should come into the shipping room but me? The boss always seems to find out. Walter's manner gave him away. Now, it isn't hard to learn to make good, clean copies on a duplicating machine. And this wasn't the first time I'd had to criticize Walter for making poor copies. And it wasn't the first time he tried to alibi his way out of a situation. The fact was, Walter just couldn't take criticism. Yet how can a man expect to improve on a job if he won't listen to the very people who can help him? Just before closing time, you'll find Bob getting the shipping room ready for the night. And you'll find Walter getting himself ready, so he won't be a second late punching the clock. An employer sees this as a sure sign that a man isn't really interested in his work. I ask you, if you were the employer and had to cut down your staff, which fellow would you keep?
That's not hard to answer. But why didn't you go ahead and fire this, Walter?
Now, don't be too hasty. I'm only telling you about Walter's bad points. He did enough work to hang on to his job. As long as times are good, there'll be jobs for fellows who just barely do enough to get by. But to keep a job when the going gets rough, you need to ensure your job. Make yourself so valuable your employer can't let you go. We've talked about dependability and cooperation. Now, another prime quality is initiative. And for once, I have something good to say for Walter. It's not hard to understand why he was unhappy whenever shipments were left just inside the door. The packages had to be hauled all the way across the room for wrapping, then hauled back again when they went out. If you don't like the way things are done, you can spend a lot of time complaining about it. That was Walter's usual way. But this time, he got an idea, and he knew what to do with it. In every company, there's plenty of room for improvement, and the management usually welcomes suggestions from employees. Walter's idea was a practical one, so we adopted it. The company benefits through time saved and less handling of packages. The fellows in the shipping room benefit through having one of their jobs made easier. And Walter improved his standing with his employer by his display of initiative. But one good mark isn't enough. One day, not long after, Walter was taking advantage of a lull in the work, and Bob was bringing the shipping records up to date when...
What you got there?
Shipment for you.
Wise guy. Well, finally. The stuff they've been running in here asking about every hour for the last 3 days.
Sign here.
That's the way it is in this company. They wait till they've run out of something, and everybody runs around like crazy. No system, and nobody in charge with enough brains to start one. What a way to run a business.
If you don't like the company, why do you work for it? Me, I work for a swell outfit. I'm proud of them.
Maybe I'd like to work for them. Could they use me?
What for? A press agent? Yes, Walter found out that nobody thinks very much of a man who talks against the company he works for. And what did Walter gain by making that false statement about his company? Nothing, except trouble for himself if it got back to his employer, which it did.
I guess it's not very different from the way I was talking to you about the place where I used to work.
Well, there's a saying, if the shoe fits.
Oh, the shoe fits all right. You knew it would, didn't you? Yep, I could see my shortcomings all over the place. Dependability, initiative, cooperation, and loyalty. I could have done a lot better on every count.
You can do better. Come on.
Yes, sir.
Well, Bob, I've got a new assistant for you. Bob Addison, this is Ed Blakesley.
Hi, Ed. Glad to meet you.
Bob's a good man to watch. As soon as he trains somebody to take over here, he's moving up to assistant purchasing manager.
Say, that's great. Mr. Wiley's been telling me about you and your brother.
My brother?
Yeah, your twin brother, Walter.
I had a point to make, so I invented a twin brother for you. You see, in this twin of Bob's, I was really describing Bob's poor conduct on the job when he first came to work here.
Oh, you mean the way I was loafing on the job around here before?
I get it. And then you... Well, if you can... Say, Mr. Wiley, did I ever tell you about my twin brother?
So there was a twist at the end, a dramatic twist. There was no Walter. It was always him. So someone on YouTube had a comment that was kind of interesting. Let me see if I can actually find it. It was Carrie Mine Plausible. Man, some of these screen names. Anyways, so this person said, I read somewhere that part of the reason they made so many of these movies in this time period was because so many men died in World War II that this guidance was needed by many young men with no father. That's an interesting thing. I have not read that. But there are a couple of things related to World War II I'll talk about very briefly. And about the golden age of educational films. One of the big things is during World War II, the military realized the value of educational films. The Signal Corps realized that they could come up with lectures very easily and visual aids that would help explain lots and lots of aspects of military life and show them and then film it once and then just show it. They found that was very efficient. They found it was also efficient to build morale using these educational films. So there's actually some great films, the Private Snafu series, where they laughably show bad behavior to give good behavior. And also propaganda films. So there was this golden age of 16 that kind of happened there. And 16 millimeter came out in the mid-20s, and it was portable, it was easy to use, easy to reproduce, easy to shoot. And so what happened is the military ordered bunches and bunches and bunches of 16 millimeter projectors. They actually had a standard. There was the JAN projector, which is Joint Army Navy projector, where they came up with some specifications of what the projector manufacturers were supposed to provide, the tolerances and specifications. And so you'll sometimes see on eBay some people selling JAN projectors, even though they're made by different manufacturers. Also, if you look at the text during that time, there's an educational screen talks about the AV war effort and about what these different manufacturers are doing to create materials for the military. And lots of film companies made stuff for the military, including Disney. So after the war, the military had all a surplus of audiovisual materials. And so in some cases, they just gave them to schools. So you had all these 16 millimeter projectors showing up in school systems all across the United States, including ones that were very poor that couldn't afford to actually have this equipment. The baby boom happened. There was the National Defense Act that happened, which was our fear that we were lagging behind Soviet Union when it came to math and science. So there was grant money that was thrown at developing these courses in math and science, and so a lot of educational films came out in that way. So all those things led to this beautiful golden age. There was all this money, there was all these projectors, and so that's kind of contributed to it. Now, the whole social guidance aspect of it, it's totally possible that because we had fathers not being there, that this was a way to contribute to that. Again, I haven't heard it, but I could totally believe it in some regard. Okay, so anyways, that's me blathering on. I know this has left you with lots of questions, including where does meat come from? Well, here we go. Here's what Coronet tells us about meat. Enjoy.
I'm Phil Burgess, and this is my farm. My nephew Wes and my niece Emily came for a visit from the city not long ago. They arrived while I was doing the farm chores. Feeding cattle is one of my daily chores. Emily wondered why I have cattle on my farm. My answer was that I raised. Wes knew that some meat comes from cattle, but he wasn't sure about how the meat got from the cattle to him. I told Wes and Emily that in order to explain where our meat comes from, I'd have to tell them about many people in many different places. My story didn't start with the cattle on my farm. It started in the western states, in the vast open land called range country. Here is where many cattle are born. These cattle belong to this rancher. He raises beef cattle. Beef is a name for the meat of cattle. The rancher and one of the cowhands, or cowboys, that work for him are looking at the cattle to keep track of how fast they are growing. Beef cattle must have lots of food to grow properly. Young cattle grow rapidly as they eat the grass growing on the rangeland. When many of them are about a year old, they're taken from the range and put in pens near a railroad. The cattle are kept in these pens until they can be loaded into special railway cars. I buy many of these cattle. The railroad brings them from the western rangeland here to my farm in the Middle West. I feed them grain, hay, and other kinds of food. This feeding helps to fatten them more quickly than if they ate only grass. So I'm called a cattle feeder. I pointed out to Wes the farm building called a corn crib. This is where I keep the corn I grow to feed my cattle. Emily wanted to know about my large barn. I told her that I put my cattle in the barn to shelter them in bad weather. Wes and Emily were getting more and more interested about where meat comes from as I talked. They wanted to get a close look at some of the hogs that I raise. The meat that comes from hogs is called pork. I use some of the corn that I grow to feed my hogs. Like cattle, the hogs are fattened for their meat. But hogs aren't sent to me as cattle are. All my hogs are born and raised here on the farm. The young hogs are called pigs. I have a separate place called a creep for them to eat in. The creep prevents the older hogs from eating the pig's food. I keep my hogs in small sheds, which are cleaned regularly. This helps to keep the hogs healthy. I explained that some farmers here in the Middle West also raise sheep. A meat we get from sheep is called lamb. Now Wes and Emily had seen how cattle, hogs, and sheep are raised for meat and what my part is in the story of where meat comes from. I explained that when my cattle and hogs are ready to sell, they're loaded on special livestock trucks. Livestock is a name for cattle, hogs, and other animals raised for meat. These cattle and hogs go by truck to a stockyard. Stockyards are usually near large cities. Here, the livestock, which many farmers have sent to the stockyard, is unloaded into pens. In some of the pens, buyers are selecting livestock that they want to buy. Each buyer works for a meat packer. After the buyer has selected the livestock he wants to buy, it goes to one of the many meat packing plants near the stockyard. Inside a meat packing plant, workers are busy with different jobs. This meat inspector examines the beef to make sure it is clean and healthy. The inspector marks meat which passes his inspection. This man is called a meat cutter. His job is to cut beef into sections. Other cutters are cutting the beef into still smaller pieces, called cuts. In another part of the meatpacking plant, other workers are preparing pork from hogs. Like beef, pork is divided into cuts. After meat such as this has been cut, some of it is put in a chilling room, a kind of large refrigerator. Keeping the meat at a low temperature prevents it from spoiling. Some meat is kept from spoiling in other ways. Ham, a meat from hogs, is often smoked in wood smoke. This smoking helps to preserve ham and adds to its flavor. Some beef and pork is used to make sausage. This sausage meat is being packed inside thin casings. Frankfurters, or hot dogs, may be your favorite kind of sausage. Meat is prepared in many different ways. Some meat is canned and then cooked in the can. Canned meat is quick and easy to serve for meals. After all the meat from livestock has been used, some valuable parts are left. They are called byproducts. The skins or hides of cattle are tanned to provide leather. Animal fat can be melted and made into products such as this shortening. These sacks of ground up bones make good fertilizer. There are many uses for such animal byproducts. When byproducts and meat have been prepared, they are shipped from the meat packing plant, both by truck and by railway. I explained that special railway cars, called refrigerator cars, keep fresh meat cold so that it doesn't spoil on the way to the stores where it will be sold. Now that Wes and Emily had learned how meat is prepared, they thought they could tell the rest of the story. As we were going into the house, Wes told me where his family bought their meat. It was at a supermarket in the city where he and Emily live. The market sells many kinds of canned meat, and frozen and fresh meat, too. In the supermarket, the meat is in packages to keep it clean and fresh. Wes and Emily told me that beef was one of their favorite meats. So we had roast beef for dinner the day they visited the farm. Meat of all kinds is a delicious and nourishing food.
So somebody asked me what shirt I was wearing. This is from the Orange Show, which is this amazing outsider art space in Houston, Texas, where a guy in a suburb basically decided he wanted to create a tribute to the orange. And so that's what he did. And I did a screening there where I did a show based on this t-shirt, where I showed films about oranges, I showed films about lying, I showed films about clowns, and we had a bunch of orange aid. It was really it was a fun event. I've done several really great events in Texas thanks to the Aurora Picture Show, which is based in Houston, and then also the Alamo Draft House, which is based in Austin. And this last film that I showed was part of a show that we did at an actual sausage factory. We did a tour of a sausage factory, and then we watched films about meat. It was disgusting and glorious at the same time, but that's part of the deal. It's true, you might not want to know where sausage comes from. I happen to know because I grew up on a farm, but yeah, there you go. Anyhow, this next film, math films are really generally really not good. The ones that are pretty good, one of them I won't show, is Donald in a Math Magic Land, because the Disney hammer will come down on me and make it difficult for me to show you films. This film is about fractions, and fractions are a hard concept for school children a lot of times. And this film is actually pretty novel in what it does. It's animated, and it's actually kind of cool. So it's called The Weird Number. Here it is. Enjoy.
My story concerns a strange event that took place. But whenever the townspeople gathered together, rumors were exchanged, rumors that other numbers lived in the dark woods beyond the mountains. But no one could imagine a number that wasn't a natural number, so no one believed the rumor. At that time, nobody worried about robberies because if, for example, 5 stole something, he would always take 5 of whatever he stole. There was no special reason. That was just how he did things. And 7 would steal 7 things, and 10 would steal 10 things, no more, no fewer. And because of this, the thief could be easily identified. So there weren't any robberies, and no one bothered to lock things up. But one day, there was a robbery. 9, who was the baker, rushed over to the sheriff's office. 763, who was the sheriff, leaned back in his chair and asked 9 what was stolen.
Just a little piece of bread.
1 piece of bread, said 763. I can't believe it. 1 is the mayor. He would never steal.
No, said 9. Not 1 piece of bread.
A little piece of bread. Not 1 piece of bread, but a piece, said 763. What kind of nonsense is that? I'll show you, said 9, then you'll understand. 763 hurried over to the bakery shop and was amazed at what he saw. Only a part of 1 loaf was missing. He couldn't imagine who could have taken it. 1 would have taken 1 whole loaf. 2 would have taken 2 whole loaves, but none of the numbers would take less than 1 whole loaf. All right. If no number can take it, then no number did take it.
But someone did take it.
Someone or something. That night, 763 and 9 hid in the back of the bakery and waited. Suddenly, a little creature in a black cloak crept in through the door and scurried over to one of the cakes. It cut the cake into 3 equal pieces and took 2 and scurried out, leaving the 3rd piece behind. 763 and 9 ran after the strange creature. 763 caught it by the cloak and pulled it off. 763 and 9 stepped back in horror when they saw what was beneath the cloak. It looked like a miniature 2 on top and a miniature 3 on the bottom. It's horrible! Shrieked 9. Then before they knew what happened, the creature ran off. After it! After a long and hopeless chase, they thought they saw the creature run into an old barn on the edge of town. But neither of them wanted to go inside while it was dark. So they decided to wait until morning. At daybreak, 9 went back to town to get help. By that afternoon, a large crowd had gathered in front of the barn, and suddenly the barn door began to open, and a strange creature emerged. But it wasn't the same one that 9 and 763 had seen the night before. It looked like a miniature 4 on top and a miniature 6 on the bottom. I'm sorry if I disturbed anything, it said. I live in the dark woods beyond the mountains. I wanted to see what was on this side of the range. What about that other thing? Asked 9. What thing? Asked the strange creature.
It had a 2 on top and a 3 on the bottom, and it stole my bread and cake.
Oh, that's 2/3. I didn't know he was here, too. He's a real scoundrel.
Are there many others like you in the woods?
Yes, of course there are.
What do they look like?
Well, said the creature, there's 1/2. He has, as you say, a 1 on top and a 2 on the bottom. And 5/4 has a 5 on top and a 4 on the bottom, and I'm called 4/6.
Is there? Asked 5.
A creature in the woods with a 5 on top and a 5 on the bottom, too? No, not in the woods, said 4/6. He's right here. Where? Right there. But that's 1, our mayor. Oh, yes, he could also be called 5/5, said 4/6. If 9 would bring some cakes from the bakery, I'll explain how. Now, this cake is for me. So I would cut it into 6 equal pieces and eat 4 of them. If you gave the cake to that scoundrel 2/3, he'd cut it into 3 equal pieces and eat 2 of them. And 1/2 would cut it into 2 equal pieces and eat 1 of them. 5/4 would need 2 cakes. He'd cut each cake into 4 equal pieces and eat 5 pieces. 4-6 then asked 5 to cut a cake into 5 equal pieces. Then 4-6 said, "Tell me, 1, how many pieces of that cake would you eat?" "Why," said 1, I'd eat the whole cake, of course." "But how many pieces is that?" "Well, it's 5 pieces." "Exactly," said 4-6. "That's 5/5. 5/5 is one of your forms. If you really concentrate, you can change forms so that you'll have a 5 on top and a 5 on the bottom." So 1 concentrated, and he became a 5 on the top and a 5 on the bottom. But his wife, 186, was so upset to see her husband in this state that he changed back immediately. "You see," said 4-6, "you're a rational number, just like me, and like all the numbers who live in the dark woods beyond the mountains." "But what's a rational number?" asked 1. "Well, any number that can change itself so that it has a natural number on top and a natural number on the bottom is a rational number," explained 4-6. "Can I do that too?" asked 5. "Certainly," said 4-6. "All natural numbers are also rational numbers. Pick a bottom number." "I'll choose 3. "All right," said 4-6. "You eat 5 cakes. So we'll let 3 cut each cake into 3 equal parts. Now, how many pieces will you eat?" "Let's see," said 5. "I'll eat 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 15 pieces. So, one of your forms is 15/3, said 4-6. Because when you cut each cake into 3 equal pieces, you eat 15 pieces. And it was true. For with that, 5 changed into 15/3. But 3, his girlfriend, fainted, so he changed right back again. "Well," said 4-6, "the sun's going down and I must be on my way. Goodbye, fellow rational numbers." "Just a moment," said 763. "Where is 2/3? He's wanted for burglary." "I don't know." "Since we're all rational numbers, I'm no more responsible for him than you are." "That's right," said 1. "Have a safe journey, 4-6, and remember, you're always welcome to return." Afterwards, 9 discovered he could become 18/2, and 1 said, "I'm 2/2, and 3/3, 4/4, 5/5. "Wait a minute," cried 763. "All of us can have many different forms." "That's right," said the others. "Then," said 763, pointing to the mountains, "they can have different forms too." "Of course," agreed the others. "Then," said 763, 4-6 can take other forms also." "What do you mean?" "I just have a hunch," said 763. "Look at this piece of cake. If we cut it into 6 equal parts, our friend 4-6 would eat 4 of them." "That's right," agreed 9. "So we'll put 4 pieces on this tray." "Now," asked 763, "how much would 2/3 eat?" "Well," 9 said, "he'd cut it into 3 pieces and interrupted 763, eat 2 of them." But that's what 4-6 would eat, shouted 9. "Exactly." "Then," said 9, 4-6 is the same as 2/3, finished 763. "I'm going after him. Maybe I can still catch the scoundrel." Throughout the years, many of the rational numbers from the woods came into the town to join the natural numbers, until the time came when all of them lived there. Even 2/3 came, and 763 continued to chase him. But 2/3 always found a new form to escape from 763. Many years later, rumors came that strange new creatures were now living in the dark woods beyond the mountains. The rumors said that these creatures were numbers too, but they couldn't take the form of a natural number on top and a natural number on the bottom. It was said that some of these numbers were rational numbers, but some weren't. But no one could imagine what a number would be like that couldn't take the form of a natural number over a natural number. So, no one paid any attention to the rumor.
I like that film. I don't know. Maybe that's me. Big fan of that. So thanks everybody for tuning in. This is the thing that I enjoy doing every day, every weekday. It's a reason for me to take a shower and comb my hair. And I enjoy the time that we spend together. Thank you so much. And we'll be doing this again tomorrow. Tell your friends. Share this when you can on Facebook or YouTube. Also, all you Facebook folks who are interested, if you go to the AV Geeks YouTube page in about an hour, go ahead and watch the first film and turn on the closed captioning and see how the film is trying to translate what's being said. It's pretty funny. But thanks so much, everybody, for coming out and enjoying this. And if you'd like to support us, you can go to avgeeks.com and buy DVDs. It's the process to get them to you is a little bit slower because I have to figure out a way. There's a whole thing about getting the DVDs and shipping them and all that stuff. So it takes a little bit longer than normal. Normally I ship it out on a business day, but it's taking a little bit longer. Another way is to donate via Patreon. But thanks so much again for tuning in and chiming in, and we will see you again tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the day.